The bridge hummed with sterile indifference, bathed in the sickly green glow of foreign technology. Commander Eva Rostova watched the viewport, her jaw tight. Outside drifted the remnants of their scout vessel, scraps of metal confetti against the void, testament to overwhelming force. The species that commanded this sector called themselves the Krill. They were graceful, insectoid beings whose civilization was built entirely on cold, perfect mathematics and devastating efficiency. To them, humanity was a statistical anomaly, chaotic, volatile, inefficiently emotional. They had categorized Earth as a Class C hazard, suitable only for observation until their thorough cleanup crews could categorize its primitive life forms into digestible data points. Their flagship loomed ahead, a geometrical nightmare of obsidian plating and humming energy conduits. It wasn't merely large, it seemed to warp the very space around it. A single, bored voice echoed through the comms link, translated by a device that sounded like grinding crystal. "Your resistance is illogical. Your species' survival probability registers at WWO3%. Surrender now, and we will calculate acceptable minimal losses." "Minimal losses," whispered Captain Ben Carter beside Eva, his face grim under the glow. "They think this is over." Eva gripped the railing, adrenaline sharpening her senses until they felt brittle. They had lost their shields, their primary engines, and almost half their crew to a focused beam that treated flesh like poorly organized matter. All that remained was a handful of fighters, the few fast enough to dodge the crushing gravitic net the Krill were preparing, and sheer spite. "We're not surviving for them," Eva corrected, her voice low but carrying through the tense silence. "We survive because we refuse to be categorized." The conflict began as a gauntlet. The Krill advanced, firing precise energy pulses that didn't aim to kill immediately, but to dismantle, to disable engines, sever structural supports, and fracture morale with calculated cruelty. Human ships danced like frantic moths around the edges of systematic annihilation. They realized brute force was useless. Their hull plating couldn't withstand the sustained pressure. Ben spotted at first a flicker in the Krill formation, an infinitesimal gap between two massive energy emitters. "Eva, their core projection is cyclical. It uses resonance frequencies. We can destabilize them." "But how?" Eva hissed. "We don't fight their power," Ben yelled back, already strapping into the cockpit of their remaining heavy cruiser. "We fight their predictabilities." The idea was insane. To breach the hull plating and introduce disruptive noise, it would be a suicide run. The Krill were masters of optimized warfare. They anticipated every angle, every vector, every possible resource expenditure, but they never accounted for human desperation driven by illogical factors like stubbornness or rage. "Target their secondary cooling vents on the port side," Eva commanded into the comms. "Max power everything non-essential vented through the main plasma conduits. We are turning this ship into a screaming wreck." The resulting maneuver was pure chaos. They didn't attack the flagship, they rammed it with maximum disruptive noise, a screech of metal against energy fields, coupled with an overload of chaotic electromagnetic pulses. The Krill system had been designed to calculate clean solutions. It could not process sheer, uncontrolled, mechanical pandemonium. A shudder ran through the giant obsidian vessel. Its perfect mathematical facade faltered. Alarm klaxons, unfamiliar and grating, finally blared across its superstructure. The Krill were momentarily thrown into an analytical panic, a hiccup in their flawless algorithm. This was it. Ben executed a daring dive into the gap Eva had spotted earlier, leading the remaining fighters through the momentary vulnerability. They didn't aim for critical systems, they aimed for confusion. A coordinated barrage of small-yield, disruptive charges that overloaded sensory arrays and forced an immediate system reset. The massive ship shuddered again, then powered down its main projection field with a defeated sigh of humming energy. The Krill's silence was deeper now, not the silence of victory, but of surprise. They had calculated for weaponry, tactics, and survival instinct. They had failed to calculate the sheer, unpredictable stubbornness of humanity. "They underestimated us," Eva whispered, watching the disabled behemoth drift away from them. Ben smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "We're not a statistical anomaly, we're just messy."